So now we come to the third stage of mapping our inner growth. What is a basic rule of psychology? Are you likely to repeat something for which you are reprimanded or for which you are encouraged? Encouraged. Yeah? Right. Absolutely. So this is also one way of encouraging yourself to move into an expanded consciousness. Stage 3. The conscious mapping of inner growth. Stage 3. Review. Break up the word into reviewing. There are 4 stages. Just a very, very quick reminder. The 3 stages up to now. Commit. Willingness to change perceptions. Second stage, act, changing perceptions with the mind, which brings us to the third stage of review, changing perceptions with expanded consciousness. What is this expanded consciousness? It sounds very wooey, doesn't it? But we will make it very, very concrete. As I say, it is the journey that we are all on. We could become heroes and heroines of our own lives. Instead of worshipping those on the silver screen, we can become heroes and heroines of our own lives, the best version of ourselves. It will take time. It will take persistence. It will take perseverance. But you can do it. Okay? Next. Some issue?
Might have to restart.
Yeah, restart. Alright, continue. Alright, let's continue. From this stage onwards, our communication and connection is directly with the divine within us. Now obviously, some people may feel, how am I sure that there is a divine within me? Right? I mean, why talk of the divine? The simple truth is this, that the divine is within you. Whether you like it or not, whether you acknowledge it or not, you can call the divine by any name. There is a certain spark, a divine spark within every single one of us. If we deny it, okay, go ahead and deny it, you can't enter this stage. What do we do when we are in denial of the divine? Something very interesting happens. Can you guess? What do we do when we deny the divine? Sorry? Aggression, what are you saying? Alright? Something else, I'm looking for else.
Focus on outside.
That's it. That's it. You project it. If you deny what is there within you, you project it onto somebody else. What happens when somebody tells you, I think you're a very angry person? No, 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 no. I'm not angry. The other person is. She is a very hypocritical person. She is that, he is that. You project it. You do the same with the divine. This is not me. This is pure psychology, neuroscience, and quantum physics. Absolute science. They have actually, scientists have actually.
जो हम खुद सोचते हैं वही ऐसे दूसरों को बोलते हैं. Your own insecurity.
No, now if you deny the divine within you, if you say, no, 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 God doesn't exist, it's okay. You can call God, you can call any name, but there is some consciousness. I like to call it consciousness. The divinity within us is consciousness, because that's a term which quantum physics has given us. Now, if we deny this consciousness, divine consciousness within us, what happens? As he says, we are likely to see it in the outside world. Well, how would you project the divine in the outside world? Any guesses? Anyone? Would you see that? Yeah?
Like, if I am on a belief that I don't believe in God, but there is another person opposite to me who believes in God and all the good things are happening to that person, and I am not believing in God, all the bad things are happening.
Maybe they're not. Maybe you're okay. Maybe you're okay. Something happens at a psychological level.
Maybe we become a little more empathetic and understanding.
More than empathetic and understanding, we idealize somebody in the outside world. You know, that person becomes a Bhagwan. We are not using that word. It could be a Bollywood actor, a Hollywood actor, it could be your fashion model whom you idealize. The desire to idealize is because of the divine spark or consciousness, unity consciousness within us. So then what happens? The person who's outside, who's flesh and bone and an odd bit of guts like you and me, that person is likely to do something which is not. And then you feel upset and angry and you feel, no, no, no. How could so and so do it? But it's not so and so is just human like you and me. What has happened is a projection. I want to be like her. When we come to the shadow, very soon, and I hope we do it quickly, the shadow could be a positive shadow. This is a positive shadow where the divinity within you is projected to someone outside and you feel, oh, she can't ever do wrong. She can't, that's why I broke it down very quickly. I didn't want to carry any of your projections. I told you how mean I could be. You remember the deodorant?
Yes.
So no projections at all, because I've had plenty of projections from my students all through my teaching career, where they feel I can't do any wrong. Haven't you also felt that when you tell a child, become the good henna, the child is trapped in that goodness. Now, I am human, so I'm going to misbehave at some time, right? So these projections, which are done unconsciously, we do it with consciousness. That is expanded awareness. Okay? So move from the yang state of making the earlier state of act. It was a very active state, like yang. You know the yin and yang. It's I choose and Shakti. The Ardhanarishwar concept. So move from the yang state of making, actively doing, to the yin state of letting something happen for me now Now we understand that life is for us and not against us. This is something, again, that is huge. It sounds very trivial. But haven't we often thought, if not said, "Hey, Bhagwan, ye mujhe hi kyun hota hai?" It doesn't happen to other people. I'm so good and so nice, but mujhe hi kyun hota hai? All that rubbish, because we're growing. That's okay. It's part of our journey. I have said it. I have said it as a youngster. So it's perfectly fine. The thing you grow out. Alright? And you know that anything and everything that happens has a purpose. You remember the metaphor I gave you last time of a child seeing a mother doing embroidery and the child being little and it all seemed a mess. And when seen from above, there was a pattern to it.
Yes.
So, whether you call it consciousness or you call it by any other name, the purpose of life is to evolve. Evolution. Not just evolution of species, evolution of consciousness. Alright? And as your consciousness evolves, you will leave behind all those dramas. But you cannot come to standard 4 without having done standards 1, 2, 3. Correct?
Yes.
So don't be hard on yourself. Next, move from motivation to inspiration and channel the flow through us. Motivation comes from the outside. I have to hold up a carrot to you to say, oh, this is interesting. Do it. You'll get this, you'll get this. But inspiration is when you don't need that carrot because you enjoy it so much. You enjoy working. That is where it puts you in the flow. There is a brilliant book by the name Flow, and it's a book that you might want to read. It's very, very interesting. I think I've listed it in your bibliography. You've all got, by the way, you've all got your syllabus of this paper, right? I passed it on even before I started. Okay, I'll give it to you and you can give it to the group. It's very important that you see the flow of the whole paper. So, now we don't need motivation. Now, as a teacher, this is something I have experienced. I initially, as a youngster, I would try for the Best Teacher Award. And I would feel delighted that I got the Best Teacher Award. And then the Best Teacher Award became the Best Critic Award in India, in Canada, among the 10 best in the world, in literary criticism of Canadian literature, whatever. It just became more and more accolades came. And then suddenly a feeling of discussion came. What are these awards for? I just enjoy the work that I'm doing. Do I need these awards? Do I need that principal to give me some silly little thing in hand to say that I'm the best teacher? Just looking at the animated faces of my students and working with them from the heart is more rewarding than any of this, isn't it? So then, to work harder, to change my techniques of teaching constantly so that the students would get completely engaged in what I was teaching. I was concentrating on that. Nobody told me to do it. I had a secure job in the university. I was the head of the department of English. Nobody could have thrown me out. I could have continued teaching for that many years, looking for my notes and doing the same kind of teaching. But I challenged myself to keep myself upgraded. If I didn't understand much, and you know that you young people, you are digital natives. People of my generation are digital immigrants. So then, I would never hesitate to ask a student, how do you do this? Teach me. How can I use it? Then I would think of how can I use it to make my teaching better. So when I first stepped into teaching, there was no question of teaching with videos and everything. You just had a tall blackboard and a chalk, and I hated that. So at that time I was doing it with a lot of questions and group work and all. But when technology came in, I realized that I could do it with videos, I could show them some dance performances on the theme and then make them think and come up with ideas. So I didn't need any motivation. That inspiration, that joy, that desire came from within. You see, students, there is a difference between pleasure, happiness, and joy. Pleasure is what is associated with the five senses, very simply put. So, when you eat something chatpata, or when you fall in love, why not? It's very pleasurable, right? Anything which appeals to your senses is what is pleasure. Happiness depends on something in the outside world. If the AC doesn't work, then we are unhappy. Okay? Or something like that. So happiness is other dependent. And joy is what wells up from within. So we have to try, not as Harvard University says, to enhance our HQ happiness quotient, but the correct term would be our joy quotient, JQ. How do we enhance that? Then life becomes so interesting. Believe me, today at the age of 67, I get up and say, thank God for a bright new day of learning, loving, and serving. I get up with that joy. Nobody's there to motivate me. The inspiration, the joy comes from within. Work with the laws of radiance and emergence, while in stage 2, we work with the law of attraction and manifestation. So earlier we worked with a lot of techniques. Now we are working towards increasing our vibration. You remember that one slide I showed you, third dimension, fourth dimension, and I gave you that example of the lift moving?
Yes.
Yeah. So that is it. So now you are thinking of working on your own resonance, your own vibration. This is again pure science. And vibrations and auras and all can be mapped today with instruments. I'll give you my own example. I was teaching a spiritual course, which again I'm teaching on the 21st of this month. But I regularly teach spiritual courses because I'm a qualified teacher internationally. So when I was teaching a spiritual course, there was one doctor there. And she said, I've got a new instrument which maps auras. And I'm a curious cat. So I had never seen something like it. So I went there, and a whole bunch of other people from the group came in the evening after the class was over. And what happened is that she told me, ma'am, I've seen you, but can you go and sit there again? I'll take you again. Once, twice, 3 times. I started wondering what's wrong with my aura, that she's finishing everyone else's and again making me sit there. And then she said that your aura has completely all haywire colors. So I said, really? She said, none of the others have, all the others have the proper, violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red, which are the chakra colors. No big deal. But my chakra colors were completely different, and the poor girl got baffled. And I said, tell me what they are. And they said, they are all white and gold. That's because I was working on my ascension. Through my meditation, I was working on my ascension, and for the first time, I saw tangible proof on the computer screen. So it's not hocus pocus. It's just not hocus pocus. This happens. It can be mapped. Don't get too much into it, because your aura changes every minute. I'll be doing a meditation with you, with your approval, if you like, today, to make you just taste it for 5 minutes or 3 minutes. And if your aura is photographed after that, it's going to look very different from what it will look even 2 hours or 3 hours later. So don't get too much into this. Don't get too much into this, because people are making huge amounts of money also, and there is unfortunately, a lot of insincerity there. So don't get too much into it. Then surrender. Now this is very, very important. When I say the word surrender, what is the first adjective that comes to your mind?
Let go.
Weak. Weak. But surrender with wisdom is a sign of strength. The weak can't surrender.
Yes, yes.
The weak can't surrender. The strong will surrender. Suppose I want to get rid of this book. Okay? I'm giving it to you. And yet I want to hold on to it. I think I should give it, but I'm still holding on to it. What happens? It remains with me. But when I give it, actually, there is surrender. Anything and everything you do, you put in your 100%, not 99.9%. If you want a gold medal in your BEd, don't put in 99.9% effort. Put in 100% of effort and then surrender. Then don't say, oh, she got the gold medal because she was a pet of Dr. Balani. Don't say that. That's not it. It's only that you're being peevish, you're being cranky, and you are again projecting. It's not true, ever. You get that? Huh? So surrender after you put, not before. Don't say, I'm not going to study it, Bhagwan to aake mera paper likho. You'll get a duck. Right? So, surrender after having put in your 100% is a sign of strength, not of weakness. Surrender and release ourselves to the next level of unfolding, knowing that the divine order is working through us. So if you don't get the guy you are madly in love with, was it silly? Then there is some divine plan for your growth. Only for your growth. The universe, the consciousness is only interested in your growth. Alright? Because doesn't it happen? And it's happening more and more that you think you're getting married to your Prince Charming. And the next day in the morning, what happens?
He dances to the floor.
This is not my Prince Charming hat. Not the guy I had in my dreams. We'll come to that when we do a very interesting session on the animas of how and where, how you choose your partners. That's very interesting. Already there is so much of interest. No harm done. No harm done one way or the other. But it's very, very important to understand that there is some reason why something does not happen. Some reason. And you get to understand it very, very late in life. And then you say, oh my God. I'll give you my own personal examples. I was crazy about kids. Had 7 miscarriages. Not funny. I was traumatized. And I wanted to adopt, but the family said that being a Parsi, you can't really adopt, you only be a guardian of that child. And I went through it and went through it and went through it. And I was really into that why me state, writing completely morbid poems, which thankfully I never published. But this is a loop that I was in. It was a loop that I was in. And I really couldn't understand the divine order then. And as it turned out, when my gynecologist went to Philadelphia with my blood samples, she found that my husband and I are so similar that we would definitely get a differently able child. Naturally want to accept the child. But there was a gene problem because of which. So in retrospect, by then I had already adopted. In retrospect, I felt there was a reason to it. It wanted me to do work to do teaching, to evolve, and maybe my devotion and love for that child would not give me the time to do that. Not that I would ever reject that child, but there was a divine purpose in it. But I realized that so many 8 years later. So very often you feel at that moment in time, something horrible has happened to me, I can't live like this. No, there is a purpose to that. There is a very, very kind, caring consciousness which is only interested in your growth and in your personal evolution. One of the things that I've not told you up to now is what is known in science as a Schumann's resonance theory. Anyone here knows Schumann's resonance theory? I'll tell you very, very quickly. Planet Earth is a living being. James Lovelock, the Gaia theory. He's a scientist, hardcore scientist, after which there has been abundant amount of research in this area. One day I was in the university and I saw some physics students and physics professors. They were working with some instrument and this curious cat had to know. So I went up and asked them, what are you looking at? And they said, we are mapping the Earth's heartbeat. Earth's heartbeat? I had never heard of that. I heard of a human heartbeat, of an animal heartbeat, but Earth's heartbeat? So they actually showed me what they were doing. And according to Schumann's resonance theory, the Earth's heartbeat, the frequency, the vibrational frequency, the amount of time it takes for an impulse to go from the bottom of the Earth to the ionosphere and come back, was 7.63 hertz. Alright? Now, you can see what kind of changes are happening in the world today. Climate change, floods, fires, tornadoes, wars, more and more of this is happening. The Earth is, as it were, detoxifying itself, and its vibrations are actually raised. So from 11.63, it's come up to, from 7.63, it's come to 11.42. Now what does this mean for us? If we human beings do not raise our frequencies and match up to it, we will find that we are more and more in a state of discord. Discord. Break up the word. So something is not working for us. Something is amiss. The anxiety, the irritation is because we are not in sync with the Earth's heartbeat. This is Schumann's resonance theory. It's still in a state of research. There's plenty of research being done all over the world. It was first proposed in 1952 by Schumann, Otto Schumann, a scientist, and it's still continuing. So we need to work on ourselves to raise our vibrational frequencies. This is the third stage. We've finished accepting it. We've done a lot of things by way of tools and techniques. We've done our spiritual shopping. We've seen which of the things resonate most with us personally. Don't get caught into this. Again, I know so many people who just hop from course to course to course to course. They usually, of course, have the money for it. But they hop from course to course. Now, you can't go on playing hopscotch all your life. You need to settle down to what works for you personally. That is when your vibrations get enhanced and you enter the state. We move from visualizing. When you're visualizing, you're saying, I want this to happen. To channeling. Whatever is supposed to come through me, let it come through me. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Whatever is supposed to come through me, let it happen. Am I making sense to you?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Sure?
Yes, ma'am.
And welcome the limitless. Now this is something very, very very powerful. There is this person called Jim Quick. He's Malaysian, if I'm not mistaken, but Jim Quick. And Jim has come up with a whole lot of techniques for fast reading and remembering and other things. Brilliant. A broken brain. But he was made to believe, his parents and people around him, that in spite of this problem, he is limitless. He's written a book called Limitless. And I've done courses with this man. So it's amazing. We are in fact limitless. If we say, I can't do, then we won't do. If we say, I can do, we will do. But what happens when we say, I can try?
Doubt in our mind.
Exactly. There is doubt in our minds. So imagine the pilot of plane you are in saying, ladies and gentlemen, I'll try to take off the plane. You'll run out of it. Right? You'll run out of it. Okay. So we become the rose emerging from the rose bush. Okay, let's move on to the next. By asking empowering questions, not silly questions of the past, that why is this happening to me? Why me? Or what is wrong with me of stage 1? Like, what is trying to emerge through me? What is trying to emerge through me? Is she alright? Are you alright? Are you okay?
Not well.
You're not well, you can leave the class, please. Are you sure? But if you're at all feeling unwell, don't even ask me. Just leave. What good is here that I presently cannot see? This is very important. What good is here that I presently cannot see? What does this question do, students? What does this question do?
Gives you hope. It gives you hope.
Hope and makes you
Have a positive outlook.
okay and changes your perception that there
Yes.
could be something else. Usually what happens to us, we feel it is this way. We are not willing to change our perception and look at it differently. This brings in the different appearance, okay? Then what gift is trying to get birthed into my life right now? I didn't get admission into MBA because everyone does MBA. I've come to a more interesting course called B.Ed. No jokes apart. It's the best profession in the world. You will never grow old. Even if you physically grow old, you will never grow old. Because you're always communicating with young minds. And by osmosis, things are rubbing off and you're learning all the time. So don't tell the MBA students. Mr. Dr. Balani and Vice Chancellor will boot me out, say no more admissions. Really, teaching is the best, absolutely the best. And I have great admiration, especially for the guys who are doing it. Girls, yeah, मैं छोटी थी तभी से teacher बनना चाहती हूँ. But I have great admiration for the guys. Haven't you often encountered becoming a teacher? What's the reaction usually?
Yes.
I done my master's in physics from university. Professor like, some of them would be like,
Why?
students were
Say?
not teachers.
Others, yes. What about you?
बाद में पछताओ ऐसा.
But see, the burnout depends on you.
Yes.
Do you want to get burned out by doing the same routine thing? Even if your university or the institution demands the same routine thing, you can always bring creativity into your teaching. Because teaching is a good textbook interpreter. For that, I'll do a 2-hour lecture. Because I'm so passionate about teaching, okay? Wake me up at 2 o'clock in the morning and tell me go and teach Derrida on the phone and I'll be happy to do that. You know, that's the level of my passion. Then cultivate a reverential alertness. When can you cultivate alertness? When you're in the present moment, right?
Yes.
Because otherwise everything will be missed. And journal your insights to consciously evolve. At one point earlier I said the choice that we have humans now is either to consciously evolve or unconsciously destroy ourselves. Create such affirmations, you're clear with the word affirmations again, where you're putting questions here. For any area of your life, you increasingly find yourself in this zone and experience flow when something took over and you lost consciousness of time. Have you realized that when you are doing something you love doing, you are not looking at the clock? But when it's something which is boring, कभी भूख लगती है, message करना है, कुछ, right? But you don't do that when you're in the zone. When it's something you love doing, you don't mind doing it. Your painting may take long. Your music practice may take long. And you're so happy to do it because you're in the flow. You're in the zone. The words used for it are flow and zone. Give yourself silent permission to be in it and watch the desire of control wane. Okay? Knowing that the universe answers all questions. If you put out a question to the universe, to consciousness, there is always an answer.
Yes.
But we are not ready for it because so much is going on here. So many expectations, so many presuppositions. So just know that if you are silent, you get the answers to your questions. Not once. You don't say, I'm going to do it once and I'm going to get the answer. You make it a practice. So here I'm going to make you do a very quick meditation if you are okay with it.
Yes.
Yes.
It has no religious connotation, no religion at all. It is purely spiritual. If I'm using the word guru, I'm using it in the Sanskrit sense of the term, guru, remover of darkness. Who is the remover of darkness? The divine spark within. I'm not talking about any external guru. I'm talking about the inner guide. Okay? So, sit very comfortably. Sit very comfortably. But why are people sitting in my class if they are not well? Are you sure you're okay? You want a croissant? Okay, just lie down. Lie down. Turn it down. You also, if you're not up to it. Okay. Alright. So take a deep breath. Close your eyes. Close your eyes, please. Take a deep breath. Inhale, pushing your belly out. Exhale, taking it in. Till you feel calm. You contain within yourself the most powerful treasure to make yourself happy and to spread that happiness into the world. Keep this thought in mind. Very gently return to the room, and whenever you're ready, you may open your eyes. It was just 1.5 minutes. It was just 1.5 minutes. Did it do anything for you? And if it did, what happened? You felt something leaving from your head, from your ears. You feel calm.
I feel like this कैसे कुछ हो रहा है.
Sorry?
मैम ऐसा लगा कुछ ऐसे हो रहा है.
Right.
Feel like
Okay. So whatever is your personal experience is right. But I just gave you a taster that this can happen in 1.5 minutes of silencing your mind. And this is a guided meditation. We do meditation and what are the kinds of meditations much later. But this is the power of silence. Because it's NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. I just told you, I made a statement at the beginning. I told you what the Guru is, not external, but an inner guide. And I also indicated to you that now just be calm for the next few minutes. And then whatever happened, if it did, was because of the singing and the music. So you can choose what you want to do. But if you even keep this as a kind of micro practice during the day, particularly before you go to sleep, particularly because all the thoughts that you had during the day will be resulting in all kinds of dreams and other issues. The unwinding happens when you are sleeping, and that is why it's so important that we all sleep for at least 8 hours, because that is where the telomeres on the chromosomes get repaired. The body goes into repair mode when you sleep. And of course, the circadian rhythms will tell you that sleep between 10 and morning, whatever it be, 5:30, 6:30, whatever, because the body has a rhythm. So if the body is trying to be in repair mode, and you are doing something else, it cannot create that kind of repair in that body. Okay, it's simple. All right, next. Yeah?
So for me, like this is my personal experience. I cannot concentrate. I cannot meditate for. Yeah, this is the issue with me. I don't know.
Absolute is an issue with 99.9999%.
I cannot meditate.
Don't worry. I'm coming to a session on meditation. That is why I've called a yoga expert. That teacher is going to tell you how to release all the tension in your body so that you get prepared for meditation. The two go together. There is a mind-body nexus. So when you release that tension in your body, you will be able to meditate. But very briefly to answer your question, it's not important at all to keep your mind focused on nothing. I can't keep my mind after years and years and years of meditation. I mean, I know that all that is happening is that between two thoughts, the period of silence grows. Thoughts will come because it is the nature of the mind to think. Alright? There can't be this complete emptiness for more than a few seconds. Right? But you don't know the good that is happening to your body when you make meditation a part of your daily routine. So just persevere. It doesn't matter. You will find that initially the thoughts will be crowding in your mind. But over a period of time, the gap between the thoughts increases, and that is when you touch your deep self. We'll be working on that. Okay? Very interesting. Thank you for your yeah, next. Practice meditation. No, sorry. Any kind you resonate with. Purify yourself from the filters of past experience and future projections. Otherwise, the mind is constantly in the past and in the future. Alright? Also understand that again, it's science which has validated our past lives. So we come in, right? Make it a way of life as during meditation you connect with your higher self. The self with a small s is your personality self. The self with a large S is your consciousness. Work with high vibrational techniques and spiritual shape-shifting. This is again a powerful method of working. Suppose you have an injury on one hand. Your other hand is working well. Any other part of your body which is working well. Mentally, don't focus on, oh, the pain is here, it should go. Mentally bring the healthy energies, the energies from the healthy part of the body to the part which is hurting. It could be even emotions. Yeah.
Ma'am, so that's what I do when I run. Like my right knee, I injured it a few years ago and it's in a lot of pain. So whenever I run, I focus only on my left knee so that I don't think about my right knee.
Right. So can you see this life lesson she's learned from her injury? Can you see the life lesson she's learned? That you have the power to do it. Doesn't that make you feel very empowered? And this whole course is designed to make you feel empowered. You are not helpless, even in the worst of situations. Thank you. Thank you for your input. So this is spiritual shape-shifting, and I've spelled it out to you. You replace egoic, lower order thoughts of separation from the limbic mind. You remember the limbic part of the brain, the emotional part of the brain we did when we tackled anger?
Yes.
With unity consciousness. Now all your problems in life are because you believe in the lie of separation. You believe in the lie of separation. This is something I've talked about earlier, but you and I appear to be different. But at a deeper energetic level, quantum physics tells us also that we are energetically interconnected. If you remember, I showed you the picture of the 3 quantum scientists who got the Nobel Prize last year for proving particle entanglement. So why does my mood affect you? If you are separate, then my mood shouldn't affect you at all. But my mood affects you because of the particle entanglement. Because energetically, we are one. So next time when you get mad at someone, think for a moment, I'm getting mad at myself. Don't say that. Don't say that. But it's literally true. It's able to accept. If you're way home by 10 o'clock, it seems like, what is she, a dictator? I don't have my own life, I don't have my own way, da, 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 da. What happens? What part of yourself have you not been able to accept actually? What part of yourself?
Controlling.
Discipline, a certain kind of discipline. Can you imagine life without any discipline? Does anyone come here without a bath or without brushing their teeth or combing their hair? Why are you saying yuck? That's all part of discipline. So unable to accept in that area the disciplining part of yourself, you project it onto your parents and you dislike them for what they say. So next time when you think like that, you'll say, "Acha mummy, bas baji mein aa jaungi." Jokes apart. Sorry? It happens. It's all a projection. All the time. As children, do you remember having gone to a circus and been in a hall of mirrors?
Yeah.
And they're madly reflecting here, there, making you tall sometimes, making you broad sometimes, making you completely distorted. That is how we are living our lives. We are living our lives in a hall of mirrors when we are unconscious. When we are conscious, we say, it's a mirror. I understand. Alright, so that is expanded awareness. Is it okay? Alright? Yeah, next. There are ways of connecting with empowering, ways of channeling empowering messages. Your consciousness is constantly speaking to you and advising you. Next. Some of us receive those messages clairaudiently. Yeah? So all the good advice comes to you through your auditory channel. Okay? Haven't you often also realized that somebody has said something and you mulled over it and much later it has made sense? So the guidance has come to you clairaudiently. I'll give you just one quick example. Hundreds of times I've been in situations where people have mentioned a book. They're talking among themselves. They mention a book, and that is the right book meant for me to read at that moment in time. This is what Jung called synchronicities. They are not coincidences. There are no coincidences in life. This is synchronicity. It's meant for you. I was very keen on walking a labyrinth, and every time I went to that place to walk the labyrinth, because the labyrinth is a psychological pattern which tells you to release the old stuff and come out empty and renewed. So I was very keen on walking the labyrinth, and every time I went to this place, it was closed. On the last day, I had my flight in the evening, and I just tried for the last time, and it was open. And there was a street singer outside who was singing a song called "You're in the Right Place at the Right Time." You see, that message was clairaudiently for me. Now, just like your multiple intelligences, we are all born with 3 intelligences, Howard Gardner tells us, but we can cultivate many more. Similarly here, we are born with at least one strong channel, sensory channel of receiving divine guidance, and we can cultivate more. Okay? So this is clairaudience. The next is, clair means clear. Clear in French. The next is clairvoyance. What is clairvoyance? Clairvoyance is the ability to see clearly. You know that some people are externally clairvoyant and they can see auras and other things. Others can be internally clairvoyant, or very simply, all your messages in life come through your visual channel. Okay? So there may be a picture, there may be an advertisement, there may be a book, there may be anything, but your guidance comes to you clairvoyantly. Third, you may be clairsentient, where you experience the messages through your body. Sometimes you may have met a person and immediately felt turned off by that person. Or you may enter a room and feel, oh, I don't like this place.
Yes.
Most of us then are clairsentient. You get your messages through your body sensations. And the last is claircognizance. Claircognizance is when you are getting your messages in the form of thoughts. A quick example again from my own life. I love walking, as you know, and I was walking from the station one day to the university, and I got a very clear message. I mean a thought, just a thought, which said, your next book is going to be called Sourceful Intelligence. And I said, Sourceful Intelligence, what's that? I hadn't heard of that term. I went to the university and the peon there said, ma'am, there is a strike today, but being the head of the department, you can't go on strike, but nothing will function today. You just go and sit in your room. That gave me the time to get onto Google and to find out what is sourceful intelligence. No work that day. I had nothing to do that day, no administrative work, no teaching. So I just sat at the computer saying, I don't know what sourceful intelligence is, but if consciousness wants me to write a book on that, I should surely know what I'm writing about. In 5 hours, I wrote out chapter 1. And that went on. And I went on, all my writing comes that way. And I do a lot of reading, a lot of research. When it finally comes together, it's a different thing altogether. And that became one of the award-winning books in US, everywhere, and my work became known internationally. It was not me. It was claircognizance. And therefore, all my work, from the earliest time, from my very first article that I've written, I've always dedicated it to the spirit, because I don't know where it comes from. There is some higher consciousness which is working through me, and that happens when. And a lot of us who are very cerebral, cognizant, which of course you can be called for. Frankly, I'm called for. So that's how you can download these messages. Yeah, sure.
Actually, I love writing, so I have this habit of getting thicker and get some thoughts about some topic or something. I start writing about it.
That's it. That's claircognizance. Some of you may just look at a painting and get some kind of major inspirational idea. And that is clairvoyant. Whatever, So, but all of us have it. All of us, without exception. But because our society doesn't put a rubber stamp on it and validate these experiences, we silence them. Haven't you heard children say, oh, mommy, there's a fairy?
Yes.
And you say, what? Fairy? Are you seeing things? You probably rush that child to the doctor and the doctor will drop that child with Ritalin. Actually, children see because they don't have all these filters that we have. Why do we say children are so pure? Though they can be absolutely devilish at other times. because they don't have these filters, which we have. Now imagine somebody here sitting here and telling me, ma'am, I can see angel wings on you. Really? You'll say that. Now the person is actually seeing it. What happens? You it's not rational. If we really were rational, would we create the kind of world that we created? No. As simple as that. So rationality is like trying to lift this table with one hand. And when you combine the two hands, it becomes easier. It's as simple as that. Yeah. To move out of stage 3 and progress to stage 4, you ask yourself the following questions. You have them all in your manual. Seeing surrender as empowering. Am I able to let go and let God reveal my next step to me? Future. But if something else happens, know that it is for a reason. That's all. Have I made meditation a daily practice? Start with only 5 minutes, not more. Just start with, here we did 1.5 minutes. Just start with 5 minutes. Do I ask empowering questions to the universe, saying, oh my God, I'm not too good a teacher. Say, why am I becoming a better teacher every day? Affirmations. A more creative, a more dynamic teacher every day. Do practice the spiritual shape-shifting that we talked about. Even emotions. If there are certain emotions, where are they in the body? Can we move out of that tightness that you may be feeling in the belly or whatever by bringing in some kind of help from another part of the body? Do I consciously work to transcend my ego and live in unity consciousness? Ego puts you in polarity consciousness. Me versus you.
Yes.
But when you work with the self with a capital S, it puts you in unity consciousness. Am I able to integrate and embody the insights that have come to me with the above high vibe spiritual practices? The key word here is embody. This is only coming to you as Gyan just now. Are you able to translate it into your life? Are you able to bring it into your life and embody that wisdom? You know, things remain very superficial. Even good ideas remain very, very superficial most of the time. Look at value-based education. A child learns honesty is the best policy. The child goes home and writes, honesty is the best policy. Here's his mother saying, "Arey beta, uska phone hai, bol de main ghar mein nahi hu." What's happened? You can't then embody honesty because you feel there is a dissonance between the two. So all this beautiful knowledge is there for you to embody. Am I connecting with my high vibe community for immunity from lower frequencies? This is again very, very important. High vibe community. You need people who will lift you up. Your friend shouldn't be one who push you down or who tell you you're fine where you are. Both ways. If you okay. So if you are pushed down, what happens? If your friends push you down, if you say, I want to do a course on painting, and your friend says, you can't ever paint, you've never held a brush in your hand, what happens to you?
Demotivated.
You get demotivated, right? What happens to you if somebody says, oh, this little painting that you're doing is very, very good, huh? It's really very good, and the person doesn't think exactly it.
Yeah. But we feel good.
But sometimes you feel
Yeah, you feel good for the time being.
some other person might have made that person feel bad. Should we exaggerate?
So we exaggerate and we say it's good, but we don't really think it's accurate. So that person will keep you on the same. Wow, this is now. As teachers, you know, no? There's a purpose. Can do better. It's not that you are not trying hard enough, but you have the potential to do much better. Right? So that's it. That's why you need to be with friends who will lift you rather than friends who will put you down. And you do the same with them. And then of course the usual practice. I don't know how many of you are at stage 3. So we won't do this practice just now. You can write it down. We'll move to stage 4. Any questions about anything we discussed here? Yes. Yes, sure. Listen, if somebody has a doubt, that could well be a question for you. Okay? So please let's listen.
It is related to the assessment that we have done.
Okay.
So the 15 or 10 marks MCQs, you said you will be having some sort of MCQs on the...
1 minute, she's asking about the MCQs. She's asking about assessment. It applies to all of you. Yeah.
So those 15 or 10 questions are supposed to be evaluated questions, or all the questions are the theoretical stuff?
Every question is basically going to deal with what I've done with you up to this moment. What is there in your manual, all the extra information that I've been giving you during these sessions. Okay? Yeah. Yes.
Ma'am, the questions that are there right now, stage 3 questions, we can't be answering them right now, right? Like over a
We
period of
don't have time today.
No,
But
like
we go home and do it. Of course we go
Now
home.
we need
I
to
see
chance. Yeah.
For example, I do health. So I'll be considering that.
But you
I
can,
haven't.
but you can take any other also. In some area you may be in the 3rd stage. Health you may be in the 2nd stage. But in relationships you may be in the 3rd stage. Or wisdom you can be in the 3rd stage.
Okay, so
no
the answer
problem.
for
Very good question.
What happens
We did that process that she talked about, you know. Transfer the energy. I've explained it. Transfer the energy from one part. In my, you can even see the videos, I guess. Alright, any other question? Any other doubt? Any other worry? Okay, next. Conscious mapping. Now here there is a lot of matter to be covered and I've written it all out here, but it's all there in your manual, so you don't have to worry. The final stage, stage 4. Just understand one thing, even if you are at stage 4 in any one particular area of your life, or you master one emotion, that doesn't mean that you are Porcella. Don't think now I have a divine aura around me, then everyone should come and touch my feet. Any such nonsense means the ego is there.
Yes.
Any such nonsense means the ego is there. Okay? Because it's going to again come to you in a different form, in a different form, in a different form. Life is evolution. So you will go on learning. There is never a final stage, but this is a stage which is optimal. That's all. Okay? So now we've come to the last stage, living in the flow and sharing the elixir. If you have learned how to control your fear, how to control your mind chatter, you give it to someone else. You share the elixir. Alright? And as teachers, we can do it so powerfully through any and every subject that we teach. Just by being that way. Your little children will not want gyan. You can't say, now children, today I'm going to, imagine telling pre-primary children, today I'm going to deal with this topic of fear. What will you do with them? We'll tell them a story. Storytelling always works. You know one thing, you've heard of the Inuit. Unfortunately, there's a wrong word for them called Eskimo. Eskimo is not the correct word. It actually means raw fish eater. It's a derogatory term. The correct word is Inuit. If you are with the Inuits, you will find that nobody is ever angry. And you'll say, how can that be possible? A whole community where people are not angry? When a child does something wrong, the adults hold their peace, hold their center. They don't say anything to the child till that tantrum has quietened down, and nobody gives the child any cognizance at that time, or the pampering, or don't do this, or don't do that, nothing like that. It's just left to the child. And then the child is brought with the others, and a story on anger management is told. And with children, nothing works better than storytelling. I'm telling you, this is a storyteller myself. Nothing. You can give me anything to teach a child, and I can do it through a story. And it always works. But of course, unfortunately, if the child learns anger management but sees parents flying off the handle, everyone flying off the handle, teachers screaming at them, then they get confused and they imitate them. But in this community, nobody raises a voice. Nobody else. There's no meeting, of course. And everything is done with total awareness. So isn't that a wonderful state to be in? So there are lots of stories. As a storyteller, I have plenty of such stories myself. Children like to make a promise and break it. Ali told me one chocolate, no, mommy, give me 2 chocolates. Again, a promise is a promise, but an Inuit story is such a brilliant story, and it tells you something in a very gripping manner that the end of the child knows. I talked, I think, about the marshmallow experiment.
Yes.
Right. It's the same thing, just teaching self-control. So, now we are sharing the elixir, integrating and embodying unity consciousness. So, you don't live your life with all your kattis and battis. Consciously moving from personal success to planetary success. How important is this? All your global citizenship education, which I will be doing probably with you or with which batch, I don't know. But global citizenship education is completely dependent on this. Moving from the personal to the planetary. But unless you worked on your personal self, you can't move to that stage of planetary. Okay? This is one of the greatest thinkers and mystics that India has produced, Maharishi Vevaina, from Tiruvannamalai in the south. Vevaina said, the self is like a pearl. To find it, you must dive deep down into silence, deeper and even deeper until it is reached. So I've said this earlier, I've just touched upon this, but silence is extremely necessary. And today, we are in this digitized world where we are constantly inundated with sound and information. And that's become our lifestyle. Imagine when you go home, how much time do you really spend with yourself in silence? You want some distraction in the form of TV, music, this, that, other, or you start coming on your phone, your messages, because we've not learned the value of silence. But all the greatest inventions have been possible only during moments of silence. All the greatest creative work has been possible only when the ideas have been come into the respected people in global society. Think of an analogy. Think of a cup full of milk. If I pour ambrosia into it, it will overflow. But if it's empty, it will contain it. Our minds are like that. There are times when we just need stillness practices and to be by ourselves. Next. By now, we have stabilized our life structures so they are assets, not liabilities. As spiritual heroes or heroines, we bring back the elixir and enrich our society and planet. Joseph Campbell, one of the greatest mythologists of the world, he talked about the hero's journey. His brilliant book is The Hero with 1,000 Faces. What every hero story has a hero myth in it. What happens? Now think of anything you know, any story you know. Whether it's Bollywood, Hollywood, anything. The person is living in a state of more or less comfort. Something happens, some disruption happens, and that person is challenged. And that person really, the strength of that person, the resilience of that person is really challenged. That's your belly of the whale experience. Then you move out of that belly of the whale, you work on yourself, you emerge victorious, third stage. And fourth stage, the hero brings back the treasures and gives it to the world. Why is it so important? Why is giving so important? Why is it made a part of every religion? Why? Why is giving important? Why is sharing important? Anyone? Yes? I'll come to you. One.
Have something that you really cherish and have something you should give to others. Make others happy.
The key word that she used there is cherish. Not what you don't need. Oh, every time I have old clothes, I give them away. That is not real giving. When there is something you cherish, as she rightly says, and you share that with somebody, then it's actual giving. Thank you. Yes?
The more you give, the more you get back. For example, if you're giving a lot of peace and happiness to people, you will get that back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you give, isn't it absolutely rational to say, if you are angry with somebody, that person can't be super happy with you. Suppose you yell at me today and you tell me, you're a useless teacher. Well, I may say that's my ego. There is no useless teacher. It's okay. That's a perception. But if I don't know that, I'm going to take that on, right? Are you going to make me feel happy saying that? Okay. Next question. Are you going to make me feel happy when you say it out of any kind of ulterior motive? If I maska lagao kar, I'll take more marks. I'll still sense your inauthenticity. I sense it because we are made that way. So when you actually give, you give with the whole heart and your whole soul, and that is giving. I dislike the word children's duty to their parents, parents' duty means arey karna padega. Not that. But when it is, when love comes in, and you operate from a space of love, then it's completely different. That is genuine giving. So remaining connected to a higher self, the capital S, the S with a capital S, some call it the monad, some call it the higher self, to wisdom and transformative knowledge. What you are getting in this program is transformative knowledge. Now whether you want to embody that transformative knowledge or not depends entirely on you. So I began by Remember?
Yes.
Transformative knowledge, divine knowledge, infinite peace, and can sustain our expanded awareness beyond our meditation to the point when it informs our daily practices. We are still on autopilot, but now we are on an empowering autopilot. This also involves tremendous amount of empathy for those. What should we worry is happening in Gaza? Gaza, Ukraine, it's not happening here. When it happens in our backyards or in our front yards, that's when we take notice of it and do something. Why can't, for instance, now the United Nations has declared 13th of January as a day when the world will be praying for Gaza, for bringing peace to Gaza. I mean, how many of us would want to do it? That's the question. Because it's so far away. Distance, dissonance. We increasingly experience moments of flow in the zone when we are so peacefully immersed in what we are doing. We lose consciousness of space and time. This is an explanation of the zone or a flow. Next. As the Sufis say, the dancer and the dance become one. There is no dancer. There is no dance. It all becomes one. We understand and experience unity consciousness. There's a very powerful Zen Quran, a Zen teaching which says, if you see the Buddha coming down the road, kill him. Kill him? If you see the Buddha coming down the road, you would want to run and fall at his feet and say, give me Ashirvad. No. The Quran says, kill him. Because as long as you see the Buddha outside, you will never see the Buddha within you. You will never see the Buddha. So, the entire, your gods, your goddesses, your angels, your guides, they are all there within you. So if you think of God as an external force, and God remains a man who has to be a people man, I don't know, it should well be a woman. But we thought of him as a man with a long flowing beard and punishing us if we do something wrong and giving us socks if we do something right, which is completely a distorted notion of consciousness. Completely a distorted notion of consciousness. So, having achieved personal success, the next step is to help our planet make it to the next level of unfoldment. And this is a crucial time in the history of the planet. We can shape up or we ship out. No third alternative. Shape up or ship out. The earth is as conscious, I told you about that today, the Gaia hypothesis. Consciousness does not originate in the body but in the earth, and we are manifestations of earthly consciousness. On Ash Wednesday, when the priest puts a cross on the sign of the adherence, what does the priest say? From dust thou art, to dust shalt thou return. Mitti ke hain, mitti mein mil jayenge. This earth consciousness. And that is why the Schumann's resonance theory is also something which is worth knowing about. Our ancestors and descendants cheer us on when we work to raise the frequency of the planet and replace survival of the fittest with survival of the most evolved. That's what we will do as we move from being Homo sapiens to Homo universalis. Yeah. Our clairs get refined. I just dealt with the clairs today. And we begin to know things without the process of reasoning. So our intuition, our sixth sense becomes very powerful. This is called the eye of Shiva. Why? Because when this eye opens up, you are looking at things in a completely different way. So intuition. We understand that the responses to what am I is I'm one with the vast presence or consciousness, any name. Who am I? I'm a unique expression within the presence. A brilliant French mystic, Pierre de Chardin, he just said something very powerful. We are not human beings having a spiritual experience on earth. We are spiritual beings having a human experience on earth. That's it. This body is not going to last long. So, as we will see later, am I the body? Am I the mind? Am I my emotions? When we come to the higher self, we'll be dealing with these questions. So, we experience non-attachment, which is not detachment, but empathetic attachment. I am not attached to you because if you throw garbage at me, I will not take it up. But with empathetic attachment, if you have an issue where I can help, I will want to help. So you see, non-attachment doesn't mean detachment. Jo karna hai, wo kar lo. I don't care. No. Non-attachment is not detachment. True non-attachment is empathetic attachment. That is why in talk after talk, both Pope Francis and the Dalai Lama are talking about the need for empathy as a superpower that we human beings have. Empathy. Since we operate from this higher state of being, our thoughts, words and actions become powerful. And we learn to deal with social justice issues from a center of peace. I gave you that example of my Tibetan student. Remember? Fight from a center of peace. Not that, okay, chalo chalta hai, wo chalne do. Be involved, be concerned, and fight, but from a center of peace. Unless you are peaceful, your action will not be powerful. Has anyone ever done something superb while in a state of anger, jealousy, guilt, any of these negative emotions? No, we've not done something good. We've regretted it later. So, be still and know, says the Bible. Be still and know. Conscious gratitude becomes a way of life. And you can find numerous self-help books on the importance of gratitude. With the negativity bias that we have, we only focus on lack, on what we don't have. But we need to focus on what we do have. And this becomes a practice if at the end of the day, you start saying, I'm going to write 10 things for which I'm grateful. And say, oh great, I won't be able to think of 10 things. You will not be able to stop writing. There are that many things to be grateful for, and just one or two things which went wrong. But your negativity bias normally focuses on the 2 things that went wrong instead of the 8 other things that went right. So when you maintain a gratitude journal, it becomes a way of thinking. I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that. Okay? Next. We may experience the dark night of the soul before the ego can be embraced and tamed. Even now, there may be times of total depression. Don't say that, no, we are past that stage, but we can come out of it very easily. You will experience sadness, you will experience anger, you will experience depression, but you will be able to pull yourself out of it. And very soon. Very, very soon. Suppose I used to call myself a very touchy person, which is one way of saying super sensitive. It didn't do me any good. If somebody said anything to me, there will be a Noah's Ark, a total flood. I would be so upset and so upset. With this kind of knowledge, I started asking myself, who is upset? Who is upset? Why am I upset for something which is not true? Just that person's perception. Bless you, out of it. So that way you empower it. And if I can do it, you can do it. Yes?
Yes.
Yes, I can see you.
Sometimes, like when we're doing this, there is a fine line where we can give our ego self the boost. So how do we draw the boundary and recognize that sometimes it is our fault and not always the other person?
That's the whole idea. If it is our fault, we acknowledge it. And we say that we will not repeat it next time. So, if I know that something triggers me,
Yes.
okay, I recognize that trigger and I know it's not about that person. That person is trying to teach me a lesson. So I decide that next time it happens, I'm going to use one of the tools that I have at my disposal and not react but respond, as we said earlier. You're very right. You're very right. So that's again something you can do for yourself. And you know, initially it may sound very difficult. So don't try and do everything at one go. Take one small part of your life which you feel really needs to be worked upon. Work upon that, and then as you succeed, pat yourself on your back and go on to the other issue. Okay? So, also ask this very, very important question earlier. If this situation were to last forever, what quality would I have to birth in order to have peace of mind? This is again very important. You have done all the work on yourself. But suppose there is somebody in the house, somebody who just goes on and on and on upsetting you. You're trying to do this, you still can't manage, then you ask this question. What quality do I have to birth in myself? When we come to relationships, later we will talk about it. But one way of doing it, you can't shut that person up. That person is probably very dear to you. Most of the relationships have love-hate relationships, in essence. You love that person. There's this fantastic Shirley Bassey song which says, I love you, hate you, but I know I can't live without you. For whatever you do, I'll never, never, never fall in love with anyone but you. And that's true of most relationships. Most relationships. You think you hate a person, but then you feel guilty, then you feel you can't do without that person. You feel you have done some wrong. So then you ask yourself that what is this quality that I need to birth within me to be able to live through this situation. When we do cherishment, relationship cherishment, again the Anima's program will understand this better. Okay? Our insights, as I'm talking in this class, several of you are having aha moments. Yeah, this is true of me, this is true of me, this is true of me. Epiphany, Satori moments, which come from experiencing the dark night of the soul, getting embodied, getting spiritualized. We experience the feeling of God. And then again, my favorite dictum, that's when we learn to experience pain, but choose not to suffer. This whole program is only about that. How do you, the pain of living. Life is going to throw challenges at you every single day. Some days may be a little better than the other. But are you going to succumb to that? Are you going to give in to your negative meditations and your mind loops which tell you, oh, my life is extremely horrid. Look at that of my friend. No. We are living in this Facebook age when everyone says, no, everything's great. See the food I eat. Do this, do that. And here in Paris, when it actually is a studio down at Dobitana. So you feel somebody else is better than you. You don't know the living hell that they are also undergoing. So all you can do is to reach out with kindness towards yourself and kindness towards others. Empathy. Empathy. Yeah. Again, at this stage, you can ask yourself these questions. Am I able to sustain my expanded awareness beyond my meditation to a point where it informs my daily life? Actually, you reach a stage when perhaps you don't need to meditate, because as Aurobindo, you heard of Aurobindo, Shri Aurobindo, Pondicherry?
Yes.
Yeah. Work in true spirit is meditation. Your work becomes your meditation. When you give your 100%, when you're operating from the flow or the zone. Do I find myself peacefully immersed in what I'm doing and experience flow? The body was not made for anxiety. When you are conscious, when you're constantly anxious all the time, then that state of ease becomes dis-ease, disease. Break up the word. Disease. Disease comes to the human body was made to be healthy. The human body was not made for diseases. During my time, when I was young, if anybody used the word depression, we said, oh my God, now how do we help her? Oh my, what's to be done? We didn't know. Nobody talked about going to a psychiatrist or a counselor. Actually, there was so much of resilience which was inborn in us. And it is. But I think very, very largely because of the Western influence. I think this is one of the negative parts of Western influence. Tension. My little neighbor, 4.5 years old, I met her in the lift and she was going, she had books in her hand. So I asked her, Kinjal, are you going for your tuition? She said, yeah, auntie, I've got tension because my exam is tomorrow. I said, tension? At the age of 4? Poor kid. Who taught her this word? Who pressurized her into this year? I mean, it's awful. It's just the tons of pressure that we put in different areas. Pressure to succeed, pressure to have the girl, the guy, the car, the bank balance, club memberships, whatever, the holidays. How absurd. I mean, if you're a real guy, then you give me all this. Why? You've got your own 2 feet, your hands, and hopefully some brains to be able to manage your life. Why would you need the guy to give you all that? I mean, how are you measuring the guy based on that? Absurd. Tons of pressure puts on men. And usually when we talk about women's liberation and equality, which of course I'm all for, what about men's liberation? Men also have feelings. They need to be able to come out and say what they are feeling. And we can't overpower them, otherwise we remain in this violent duality, self versus other, instead of all is self. So do I operate from unity consciousness rather than polarity consciousness? Everything will change if we change the way we think of our identity. When I ask you, who are you? You will say, I'm so-and-so. Go further, tell me something more. Well, I'm a girl. I'm whatever, whatever. I'm doing this course. I belong to this city, to this nation, to this, reverse it. Who am I? I'm spirit first. Then you come down to it. Your complete thinking changes. Your complete thinking changes. So that is when you replace your polarity consciousness with unity consciousness. Do I find myself consciously doing things to serve others and help the planet ascend? Very often, when you are trying to do service, there may be someone who may prove to be a wet blanket and say, Ari Chiprana, you look after yourself first, then you do all that service. No. Whatever you can, at whatever stage you are. You can't teach 100 children, underprivileged children, teach one. That's okay. Or do whatever you think is right. Whatever you think is right. Am I able to get clearer messages from my clearance? Okay? I able to transition from attachment to detachment to empathetic non-attachment? To understand this. Do I and others feel that my thoughts, words and actions become more powerful as I operate from a center of peace? Has conscious gratitude for everything become a way of life? Have I been able to embody my insights as my intellect becomes spiritualized? Am I more at peace with myself and others as a result of my inner work? Then the next will be yourself, which you can do again at home. Last part, last slide. Yeah. What are the qualities, final slide, what are the qualities of a high vibrational person? High vibrational people draw attention by their magnetic presence. Their aura is vibrant. People may not be clairvoyant, they may not be able to see your aura, but they feel very happy when they are around you. Okay? They reveal a harmony between the divine masculine and the divine feminine. The divine masculine is the active principle. Go, do it. Divine feminine, passive, rest. Both are important. Activity, rest, and this is just one. There are hundreds of qualities of that. I'm not doing the divine feminine and the divine masculine with you. Really, but these are not stereotypes, huh? These are at a different level. Radiate, the high vibrational people radiate authenticity. They are true. They are not saying, "Beta bolte mummy does nahi." Okay? They attract envy from a lot of people. Suddenly you find that you've done nothing to somebody, and that person suddenly starts hating you. It's okay. Why? We will understand this when we do shadow work. The shadow. They attract love and deep affection from animals. Attract love and deep affection from children. Radiate empathy which causes strangers to share their personal stories with them. Somebody say, I don't know why, but I suddenly have people coming to me and telling me some very intimate things about themselves. How is it they feel comfortable with me? You know? And lastly, they change the energy of their surroundings and influencing the collective consciousness and influence the collective consciousness by their very presence. So, the very presence of a high vibrational person makes others feel happy, gratified, interested. Suddenly things brighten up when that person walks into the room. Okay? Alright, so that finishes section 1. A lot of things, right? A lot of things will come. So, that's it. Any questions? Anything at all? You're hungry?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Siddharth. If anyone wants to take over from him with the second part, then he can sit there and give time.